Hello, this is the Green Corn Rebellion show, and today I'm here with my friend Kristina Oakes from South Carolina. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing all right, as good as we can be during a pandemic, and while schools are opening up and our governments are sending us to impending doom, as good as I can be.
Yep.
Well, anyway, first topic here that you said you wanted to talk about was the moral panic during the pandemic. So, what do you have to say about that?
Yes. Well, the last month or so, I've noticed a lot of my friends on Facebook sharing like QAnon, child sex trafficking, content, memes and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, why is this happening? I don't understand. Like all of a sudden, it was just an influx of save the children. No, it's save our children. I was getting so confused. I was looking into it, and I'm like, this is not the first time something like this has happened in our society. A moral panic is something that reoccurs throughout our whole history. Some examples would be like the Salem witch trials, the Red Scare, the devil's music that you listen to, by the way. Just kidding. And yeah, and also violence in video games. Basically, this moral panic that's happening right now with the whole child sex trafficking conspiracy is just the satanic panic of the 80s and 90s 2.0. Satanic Panic 2 Electric Boogaloo, as I'm calling it.
Okay. So, I've been seeing a lot of posts about Save the Children, but they're
Yeah.
not being shared in reference to QAnon. So, what is the connection exactly?
From my understanding is that a lot of teenagers on TikTok and even like good-hearted liberals that you and I know have kind of picked up on it because I mean child sex trafficking is a very serious issue and it should never ever, it shouldn't exist. So I think what's going on is that, QAnon is using this as something to, get everyone concerned about. And it doesn't even have to be directly with hashtag QAnon or where we go on, we go all, which is one of the other hashtags that's kind of been connected with. So something like child sex trafficking is something that everybody can like, have a connection with. So you might not see, everything about being involved with QAnon or anything like MAGA or Trump related. Because
So,
I noticed,
yeah, go ahead.
because I'm in a few Facebook groups where we kind of like point out, some of the stuff that's been going around, a lot of stuff that's not true. And so we've also discussed like, why there are other like liberals and like progressives and people who are not even political getting sucked into all this. And it's because a topic like, child sex trafficking can, really get everybody all, passionate and fired up.
Hmm. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the QAnon thing, that's pretty wild. We're probably gonna have people in Congress next session that are QAnon believers or followers or whatever it's called. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Um, that's terrifying, especially since along with the whole QAnon thing with the child sex trafficking is that Pizzagate is getting rehashed again, despite the fact it's been disproven the whole situation, along with Frazzle Drip, and I can't even keep up with all these conspiracies. There's like Red Shoe, where all your red shoes are made from the skin of children. Adrenochrome, which is where they take the this chemical like adrenaline from a child and use it on to like for anti-aging purposes, even though the whole uh, theory and what adrenochrome is and what it does was from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. A lot of these conspiracy theories come from fiction, and the fact that people or who are running on this are possibly going to be into Congress is quite frightening, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's. I remember I never heard of the term adrenochrome until like this year, and
Same.
someone reposted a Facebook post saying Monsters Inc. is about adrenochrome, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And then I looked it up, but like I still didn't get what it was until someone like explained it to me, and I was like, oh, okay, but
Yeah,
like
that's
I
not true.
guess. I guess,
You
like, I guess, but not really. Like, it's kind of a
do,
different thing. But
yeah,
yeah.
you can make it in a lab. I mean, if adrenochrome has anti-aging properties, as someone who loves skincare and beauty, I would, you would think it would be in all like skincare products for its anti-aging purposes. But the fact is, what's going on is that everyone's in quarantine. Plastic surgery is not a necessity. It's not, essential. So some celebrities are not getting their Botox or collagen or facelifts done. So they might look a little, off, I guess. But people think that it's they don't have adrenochrome right now. I'm like, no, they're not getting Botox. They're not getting their facelifts. Come on, think, people. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Um, yeah. So the other thing we wanted to talk about was the Democratic convention that happened this week. How did you feel about that?
So the Democratic Party is always about, we, want to make way for the future of the party, right? We want, the young people, and we want to, prop them up. All right, then why did AOC get like a 60-second, speech?
Technically, she didn't even get a speech. It was supposed to be the nominating portion for Bernie Sanders. So really, you could say she didn't get to speak at all.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that like an uproar. People were like, "How dare she nominate Bernie?" And I'm like, wasn't that kind of part of the whole like thing with the convention? Like, isn't that kind of like what she has to do?
yeah. Like she was given that opportunity from Bernie because Bernie clarified this in an interview a couple of days ago. He was like,
Yeah,
"No, I gave her that opportunity, not the Biden campaign. I chose the people who nominated me because there was another person who also nominated Bernie because she was the seconder, I think, and then there was this other guy who did the first nomination of Bernie. So yeah,
yeah. It's crazy that like the John Kasich of the world get to speak. Like, I know that Trump's kind of destroying the Republican Party, but like if we're gonna revert the Republican Party to like a certain era, why can't it be like Eisenhower Republican era? Like that's like because Eisenhower is one of my favorite presidents. I would rather have the Republican Party go back to the Eisenhower days and not like Reagan or Bush.
Kasich.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, because people
exactly.
forget. Yeah, because people forget. Like Kasich wrote the Welfare Reform Act bill that Bill Clinton signed back in '96.
Yeah.
So, like, that wasn't like if you would just asked anyone less than 10 or 15 years ago about Kasich, they wouldn't have said he was a moderate Republican. He would just been another Republican.
Yeah. Hi, women. The whole thing.
Yeah. Um, I thought. I mean, everyone thought AOC should have been able to speak. I thought Ilhan Omar should have been able to speak
Yes.
because of all people who
Yeah.
have faced all types of hate and death threats and everything.
Left.
Yeah, like she definitely deserved to speak at the convention more than anybody, and she wasn't invited to speak.
Yeah. I mean, remember, it's all about the Benjamins. Remember how like that wasn't even like an anti-Jewish, like an
Yeah,
anti, phrasing. It was just about like money and how it influences our politics and our government. I mean, why should Israel get so much money yet they have universal health care? We don't though. Why are we? Like that's one argument that my uncle, who's very, very conservative, likes to make. Like we give everybody their money. All right, then how come they're able with our money to fund their healthcare systems and their educational systems? It makes absolutely no sense.
yeah, um, and then my only like I haven't finished watching the entire convention because I didn't watch it every day. I've kind of just
Yeah,
been watching it on my own time.
yeah,
I didn't. I mean, of all the conventions I've watched, and I've watched them all pretty much in my lifetime. Like I watched '04, '08, 2012 and 2016.
No,
Say what?
96. The 96 convention, that was fun. They were like doing the Macarena. They got like the pride flag, and then they enacted DOMA like a few months later or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, what was that all about?
Yeah, and this one's probably my least favorite so far. And I don't know.
There's
Maybe
something.
2016 was, but like this one, like there was nothing exciting about this one. Like my favorite part about the whole convention was getting to see Julia Louis-Dreyfus in that one part. Like that was it for me. I was
Yeah,
like, oh, well, this is fun because I like her. She was on Veep. I like Veep, and she's
yeah.
funny. But like other than that, like I didn't really enjoy a lot of the speeches. I mean, I thought,
The
you
Zoom
know,
thing of cute, I guess, but some people were missing from that little DNC Zoom call.
yeah, and there were some people that I think like that should have been invited to speak that weren't, and then there were some people that got to speak that shouldn't have. Like I don't think Michael Bloomberg should have gotten a speaking spot. Like that was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I mean, he did not pay his staff at all. He promised to pay, the staff, through the healthcare and all that. Like basically what Bernie promised and actually achieved. Because I have friends who work. You and I probably have friends who worked for the campaign this time around, and they're like, yeah, I still have, healthcare. I still have this because my involvement with the Bernie campaign. Michael Bloomberg's staff got none of that.
Yeah, I think someone tried to take him to court over that. I heard about that recently. But yeah,
Yeah. I remember the last convention. It was exciting, obviously, because it's Bernie, and he got like that 30-minute standing ovation. And I remember watching the Young Turks, and they were like, "Well, listen, Bernie, wasn't Bernie supposed to be going first? Why is she speaking?" And we found out that he would actually be like the keynote speaker, speaking at the end. And I was messaging Anna Kasparian on Facebook Messenger, be like, I guess you guys don't know this, but Bernie's actually speaking last. And Anna made the announcement. Jake was like, well, who's your source? She's like, I know it's a very like reliable source. Don't worry.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, but 2016 was interesting. Like that was the first year that I actually got to vote, and it kind of ended not so happily, but it was exciting at the beginning
Yeah.
and whatnot. But this year, it just wasn't as exciting.
That's why I'm like, God, if Trump winning again, I'm like, this just. I mean, I can't like. Last time I was literally bullying people to vote for Hillary. Like I didn't care. Like I wasn't really thinking. Now I'm just like, if you're gonna vote, just don't vote for Trump at all. And if you don't want to vote for like the presidential race, focus on your local like down ballot races at least, because to me that's more important.
Yeah, like I remember that was also the 2016 election. Like I was in high school for the primary, and then I was in college for the general. And I remember talking to kids about the race. It was pretty funny. Like I met some Trump supporters and whatnot, and most of them, their first choice wasn't Trump in the primary. It was like, like Rand Paul or someone like that. And
Yeah.
then I met some people who like they leaned left, but they weren't really wanting to vote for Hillary. And I remember this one kid, he told me that he was going to vote for, what's his name? Gary Johnson until the whole Aleppo thing happened. And I was
What
like,
is Aleppo?
yeah, like, and I said to him, I was like, that's what did it for you? Like, come on now, don't say
Must
you
care.
knew where. Say what?
Maybe you must care about foreign policy.
Well, it wasn't even that. He was just like, oh, if that guy's running for president, like he was just like, if that guy's running for president, he should at least know about that. I'm like, but did you know
But
about
Trump.
that? What?
But Trump, it's like everything that comes out of that man's mouth is a big gaffe.
Yeah, and I just said to this guy, I was like, I wasn't really like trying to get him to decide to vote for what's his name, Gary Johnson, but I was like, if this is your reasoning for not wanting to vote for Gary Johnson, like, why weren't you just gonna vote for Hillary anyway? Like, it just seemed like a really weird reason to not go
Yeah.
vote for Gary Johnson, who wasn't gonna become president anyway. I was like, okay, but I
Well, it's like the Greens and the third party's like, now's the time, we're going to get that 5%. I'm like, no, you're not. You can't. You're not going to. It's never going to happen. I'm sorry. Because, I
yeah.
mean, most independents really split. Some of them don't vote. Some of them vote Republican, Democrat, Green, Libertarian, Socialist, any, Purple Party, anything. It's not, unless all those voters vote for one single third party, maybe, but it's still never really going to happen because of this two-party system we have.
Yeah, like even people who are like independents, like they have their preferred party of choice, even if they don't claim to be a member of that party. Like I've talked to a lot of these people who are like they always vote Democrat, they never vote Republican, but they would never call themselves Democrats, or they always vote Republican, registered independent, but they'll never call themselves Republicans. It's like, oh, I see what it is. But yeah.
We're volunteering in South Carolina has been interesting because of the fact we have open primaries, so you can vote regardless. We don't actually register by party. So looking through the voter data, I'm volunteering with the Jamie Harrison campaign, text painting my, fingers off. And it's like, oh my God, I'm either getting like, yes, I will vote for, Harrison and, the Democrats, or like, I'm not voting for that black radical baby killing, communist, atheist. I'm like, have you seen Jamie Harrison? The man looks like a ray of sunshine. What is going on here? That's why I kind of hated doing the phone banking, because it's like I'm actually gonna get cussed out like hearing it, and you can't tame me. I will say something to you. I don't care. I'm like, okay, I'll take you off the list.
Yeah. So tell me what's going on with the Jamie Harrison campaign. That's a pretty interesting race. Do you think he could actually beat Lindsey Graham?
From my understanding, it's a possibility. And the thing with Lindsey Graham is, with all the rumors about his sexuality, we've come across quite a few Republicans, like conservatives, like in South Carolina, like within his district, saying like, he should just be himself. It would be a good thing for a gay Republican in the party. Like it would be, it would actually like, do something for the party. It's amazing that there's always this, image of the conservative voter, and quite a few of them are not, the caricatures that we're used to seeing. And I've come across quite a few, conservatives who were for Bernie. I mean, our campaign office was right next to a gun store for Bernie, and we were cool. We always joked about like it. It was actually pretty much like one of the happiest times of my life was volunteering for Bernie. And what we can do now for Jamie Harrison is just text bank, phone bank. We can't canvas, host town halls over Zoom. We have volunteers who are actually like hosting, phone banking sessions, and having like calls with Jamie where he's calling, volunteers, telling them what's been going on and thanking us for all that we've been doing. Shout out to Melanie Nowlin, who's basically in charge of Aiken. She's been doing a fabulous job. She worked for Bernie as well, and without her, I don't think Jamie Harrison would be going anywhere, especially like in our district, at least.
That's cool. That's really good because, in that thing that you said about Republicans in the gay community, like I think the polling with the Republicans in their acceptance of gay marriage is actually more. I think it's actually like most Republicans are in favor of LGBT rights to some extent now. It's probably like only like 50 or 60%. But it's changed over the last few years, and it like you wouldn't think that looking at Fox News or looking at who actually still gets elected, but like I have Republican friends who like they're like, oh, I'm cool with gay marriage and whatnot, I'm cool with trans people.
or it's like it just doesn't like it doesn't bother me, so it's like why should I make a big hoopla about it?
Yeah, like
Most
yeah,
of the most of the cases for
yeah, like it's pretty interesting. Yeah. So what's the other thing we wanted to talk about? Okay, so you were wanting to talk about what your social media personality is going to be.
well, one hot mess. Like I don't want to be one of those who's like perfect and camera ready and this and that. Like whenever I do stuff like my live streams or even like because I love makeup, I like talking about so many different things. I've noticed that in the beauty community we're branching away from some of the toxic names like Jeffree Star and embracing people like Bailey Sarian who puts on makeup while talking about a true crime story, or Jamie French who puts on makeup while reviewing a really really terrible movie like Glitter with Mariah Carey, or Jen Loves Reviews, where she's actually reviewing skincare, like, or even like ingredients in makeup and skincare, and even people like Hiram, Skincare with Hiram. But there's just so much more that's going on with a lot of different communities now that we're embracing, the fresh and new and innovative, and you don't have to be, picture perfect. So I'm gonna be myself.
That's cool. And you'll be doing live streams regularly on Facebook? Or
Yes.
okay. Are you ever going to
Yeah.
move over to YouTube at all?
Once I get the funds, once I can afford like a actual camera instead of just using my phone, and like editing software, definitely, because I want to do a thing where I put on makeup while discussing every single episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Do these episodes still hold? Or are they more controversial now than they were in 2005? You know, because there's certain episodes where they do cover pretty polarizing political issues in a anti-humorous way.
Okay. That sounds cool. And then if you run out of Always Sunny episodes, then what show will you do? Or what will you do?
Pro- uh, Probably maybe Glee, because I've been slowly doing a Glee rewatch. Maybe even the Golden Girls. With Always Sunny in Philadelphia, there's 154 episodes, which means 154 makeup looks, which that would be interesting. But there's quite a few shows that I have in mind that I want to do, especially with because I like watching a lot of shows that are on FX. And there was one about Phyllis Schlafly called Mrs. America and Gloria Steinem and like the feminist movement. And it would be interesting, like dissecting the episodes and the characters' motivations as well.
All right. That sounds interesting. I can't wait to watch some of that eventually, whenever you start doing that. And the last question I have here is what kind of music do you listen to?
Ooh, uh, I listen to a little bit of everything. I listen to a lot of classic rock, oldies, Queen, Pink Floyd. I listen to classical orchestrational music. I listen to bubblegum pop like Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears. I listen to Mariah Carey. I listen to a lot of show tunes. I basically listen to a little bit of everything except for modern country music. I like my classic country, but anything like after 9/11, I'm like, nah, too bro country for me.
So you don't like Florida Georgia Line? That's like the only acceptable brand of country to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I've never really I never really got into country, but I mostly just listen to metal and stuff. I know you like what is it? What is something I know you like? You like Linkin Park, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Like their earlier stuff though, right?
The QAnon people think that the lead singer of Linkin Park was murdered because he was trying to rescue children. I'm like, no, he had his battles with depression and he unfortunately took his life.
That's
So,
so weird.
yeah.
Yeah, like I've heard I heard a conspiracy about that, and it had to do with like him being John Podesta's long lost son or something. And I
All
was like,
Kennedys are actually alive. I'm like, John F. Kennedy would be 103. And people are
yeah,
like, no, there's tons of technology now. I'm like, okay, then why isn't Michael Jackson here? Like, why isn't Elvis here? I don't understand. JFK Jr. gonna be the new VP for Trump. I don't get it.
well, to be fair about Michael Jackson, he started a Twitter account and an Instagram account after he died. So
But
maybe there's
hey,
something to this.
well, it did get like a suspension. I'm like, well, wait a minute, this is like his estate that's doing all this. I mean, Elvis has his own Twitter account. Like
Yeah.
everybody, all the Marilyn Monroe does. She would love Instagram if she was alive today.
Yeah, and so would JFK.
Yep,
well,
definitely pictures of my wife.
well, anyway, thank you for coming on.
Mm-hmm.
I've been wanting to do this since the South Carolina primary, where things took a turn for the worst.
Yeah, even if Bernie was going to lose South Carolina, he would have done a fantastic job on Super Tuesday had Obama not convinced the moderates to drop out.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at that Kristina O, and it's Kristina with a K. Well, you know this. And then UHMM Kristina on Instagram, and you can just find me Kristina Oaks on Facebook.
All right, cool. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, anytime.